Hey guys, Marcel Irnie here, continuing the allegations with my CRCC complaint that is being dealt with by Sergeant Fehler with the Professional Responsibility Unit of the RCMP. And so this is part 2. In part 1, we started my letter that was written August 14th, which I just discussed today with Sergeant Fehler in person, which was September 28th. And we went over some of the video footage of ERBES and my allegation of neglect of duty. We talked about officer identification and how, for some reason, the RCMP Police Act does not mention anything about officer identification and what the rules are. There is the police standards, and there is the CRCC, neglect of duty, that mentions it. There's also the officer identification on the website under Nova Scotia for some reason that states they reinforce officers' importance of self-identification, how residents can ask for their ID and their ID card, and then the further concerns you can call the RCMP to verify their ID card. So you can see it's under Nova Scotia for some reason. Obviously the murders in Nova Scotia by a person pretending to be a police officer those years ago. And so it's not in the Police Act. What is the police standards? What is the legal obligation for officers to identify? It seems to be none. So this is a huge story that everybody needs to start sharing. It's like, did you know RCMP are not required by their own code of conduct to identify upon your request? It's only supposedly that they have to have it on their vest, which then they don't do, and nothing seems to happen about it. This is why I'm going through this whole complaint issue and figuring out what's really going on. And, so your safety is our priority. We regularly reinforce our officers' importance of self-identification. Well, they don't, because they don't make it a rule. They just say, we tell everybody how important it is, but it's not in the Police Act. How ridiculous. And the CRCC, they should know about this, and why is it on their site under neglect of duty, right? What is the standard for RCMP self-identification under, not to be a practice standard, but to be something actually happening? So anyways, let's continue on in part 2, guys. We saw little clips of ERBES saying, he's not gonna, my name's available to out here. Okay, you failed to comply with me, so I'm failing to comply with you until you meet me out here. So you can have my name when you get out of the vehicle and we look at your plate and deal with us like adults. Like, who in the hell is going to do this when you have a tyrant out there who don't even identify himself for his own accountability? It's crazy. What's your name? I'll provide it to you in writing on paper when I give you a ticket, but not ahead of time. Who knows, right? You can't trust these people. And Sergeant Fehler, when we talked to Fehler, when we went over all this, he's like, well, I probably wouldn't have got outside the vehicle either, with all the circumstances that led to that, right? Stating that he was going to, I'm stating that he planned to arrest me. He says in his synopsis that the individual was not arrested because he was in the motorhome. So, you step out of the motorhome, you're arrested for what? Bullshit, mischief, or, he's going to try to put his hands on you, supposed. But in my allegations, they don't take it serious because it never actually happened. There was just intent. Anyways, guys, let's continue on. Number 2 on my letter to Sergeant Fehler. Number 2, oppressive conduct. ERBES threatened to tow Motor Vehicle Act and Motor Vehicle Act violation tickets and bylaw tickets if I didn't meet him outside. Now, keep in mind, we had all those tickets so far thrown out from that night, and the bylaw ticket thrown out, and his civil lawsuit thrown out. There's only one set of tickets left that he issued me in court on December 14th. That's coming up October 30th. So ERBES immediately threatened to tow my motor vehicle with me in the camper, and ERBES threatened Motor Vehicle Act and Motor Vehicle Act tickets if I didn't step outside the camper and meet him in the street and give him my ID. It is unsafe for a member of the public to meet a masked and armed individual making threats, stating he is RCMP, but refuses to identify herself with a name and RCMP ID card. This is a terrifying situation for any Canadian citizen and directly correlates to what the RCMP officer standard mentions and relevant to public education after the Nova Scotia murders by a police impersonator. I list under the CRCC under oppressive conduct. This category addresses severe misuse of police authority or powers, aggravated harassment, unfounded, unfair, or embellished charging, and threats or intimidation by any of the foregoing. So let's take a double look to show you guys under the CRC, Civilian Review and Complaints Commissions. And we have improper use of force, neglect of duty, evidence irregular, oppressive conduct. There it is. This category addresses severe misuse of police authority or powers, aggravated harassment, unfounded, unfair, and unambiguous charging, and threats or intimidation by any of the foregoing. So there it is. It's there. It's real. And of course, yesterday or the earlier video, we read about the neglect of duty, and it includes allegations of refusal to identify oneself and refusal or failure to provide timely and adequate. So refusal to identify oneself. Again, what's going on with that? So that is my number 2, oppressive conduct. Allegation number 3, evidence irregularity and neglect of duty. ERBES misled the courts, fabricated bylaw regulations for intimidation. ERBES misled the court, stating he did identify himself with his name and jurisdiction. And here's a quote from his testimony on March 29th when he was being examined by Constable Smith, which is the crown acting as a little pretend crown in the Kangaroo Court of Judicial Justice. I quote, "I didn't provide my badge, but I did provide my name as well as my jurisdiction by which lawful obligation," end quote. Well, so ERBES never did that. He never gave his name, and he stated many times that he wasn't going to give his name until I stepped out of the vehicle and met him on the sidewalk with my ID, his threats. And so obviously I went over these one by one with Sergeant Fehler to make sure he understands all the allegations in depth. Number 3, allegation. Evidence. Oh, no. We just read that one. Sorry. Number 4, allegation. Non-disclosure. ERBES didn't provide any disclosure as per my written request. To list the most important, this is not all of them, this is some of them from the original request. ERBES didn't provide a commissioner's witness name was redacted. So now we know it's Steve Rath, but we didn't know any time until just like a few weeks ago. B, commissioner witness complaint. We never had a copy of the complaint, the Steve Rath's commissioner complaint. C, commissioner witness detailed security report to police. So again, S. Rath's detailed security report to police. E, CCTV video evidence. The vehicle had been observed by CCTV monitored during the day. This is from ERBES synopsis. He also said the detailed security report that I was causing a disturbance throughout the day in relation to the Freedom Convoy mandate protest. And so that's that report. Mario's towing. Corporal Hall, in an effort to resolve the matter, had RCMP cover towing expense. Mario's towing invoice and invoice paid was not included with particulars. ERBES said that he had a file. I'm attending a file as to his reasoning for knocking on the camper door, but has not given any disclosure of this file. So the file is the detailed security report by Rath, which doesn't say I was causing a disturbance on that day. Okay, we request RCMP Corporal Hall's synopsis report, RCMP handbook notes, and any photos. So Corporal Hall, who was the cop to save the day, we want all his information. ERBES said security interacted with you before ERBES knocked on Mr. Irnie's camper door. We are requesting unidentified security commissioner witness name, which is now we know as Rath, and all particulars in relation to the security interacted with Mr. Irnie. And Jackson is the other one. M, what is the Commissioner S. Rath's contact information, as we'll be calling him as a witness? What is the unidentified commissioner's name with S. Rath? So that's Jackson. So I just got all this information because of doing all this work, and obviously I'm giving updates, so that's why we know some of this information. Oh, ERBES RCMP handbook notes in relation. So I don't have a copy of those yet, but Sergeant Fehler does, and he doesn't want to give them to me. He wants me to do a Freedom of Information Act request to get that. ERBES RCMP handbook notes that include any and all information in relation to defendant and witness Marcel Irnie. Bylaw Services Senior Officer Sergeant Will Scott's notes, incident reports, and all information pertaining to the bylaw ticket, which was thrown out by him. A copy of video evidence. I'm just going to go through this quick. A summary of the officer states the defendant said, etc., and audio recordings from my 3 calls to the police. Number 5, allegation: abuse of my process to appeal. Abuse of my process to appeal ticket. The first one, AJ2462, the 5678, the one he gave me on January 29th, 2022. By crossing out count 1 on my copy of the ticket and not on his ticket copy, See attached my notice of application with affidavit stating material facts and attached exhibit. I had to attend court registry to file a dispute with reason with affidavit to have count 1 disputed. So, you know, he crossed out count 1 on my ticket, so when I went to dispute it, they only disputed count 2, count 3. Then all of a sudden I realized I'm automatically guilty of count 1 when it was never able to dispute in the first place. So I had to go back to the court, file an affidavit saying the reasons why so. And in my notice of application with affidavit, it has the material facts, number 15, which I registered April 25th, 2023. Number 15, on May 2nd, 2022, the accused learned that Constable Erbes had not crossed out count 1 on the number 1 on the copy of ticket number, the 5678. He had submitted to the court, resulting in a default conviction against the accused, which required the accused to take additional action, including court filings, to have the default conviction vacated. Now on to my allegation number 6, interfering with my process to a fair and timely trial. By issuing violation ticket AJ, the 9795, it always starts in the same from Erbes, the new one that he issued me, with a malice intent waiting from December 14th, which he issued it, to June of 2023. They received it June 6th, exactly. The Violation Ticket Center received the 9795 ticket from Erbes on June 5th, 173 days, about 5.5 months after being served to me. Erbes waited to submit ticket 9795 only after the March 29, 2023 trial proceeded, and only after the next court date, continuous trial date, was scheduled. The next provincial court was scheduled for June 23rd, 2023. So he handed in the ticket on the 5th of June, or approximately around there, before that, and only when we had the June 23rd date, so it could never be combined in that late of a time, because it's not instantly made a court date once it's handed in either. So, Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Section 7, conform to the principles of fundamental justice, the basic principles that underlie our notions of justice and fair process. That's what I'm talking about. I have the right to conform to principles of fundamental justice and a fair process. Number 7 allegation, discrimination and persecution of my fundamental rights and beliefs, right to peaceful assembly, Section 2C, and my right to freedom of press, Section 2B, and my right to freedom of association, Section 2D, as per our Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So on January 29th, 2022, video evidence transcribed, Erbes said on video, quote, "You are parked here, you're unwelcome here," end quote. Irnie, unwelcome? What are you discriminating against me? I don't understand. End quote.
What's the complaint? What's the complaint?
It's available for you. What's telling you, sir?
I'm just having some food here.
You're not permitted to be here. You're overstayed. I have a complaint.
What's the complaint? What's the complaint?
It's available for you.
What is the complaint? What's the complaint?
But we've already explained this.
No, I don't know what the complaint is. I don't know why you knocked on my door.
You're parked here. You're unwelcome here.
Unwelcome?
Correct.
Were you discriminating against me? I don't understand. Yeah. How am I not welcome here? I live in Kelowna.
Sir. We're trying to have dialogue.
Yeah, there you have it, guys. Going around in circles. But he did say, you're parked here. You're unwelcome here. So he is discriminating against me, and we have the security report from the Commissionaire Steve Rath that labels my RV as a protester, and Erbes, it shows likely that Erbes knew of my YouTube channel, knew of me the entire time he was talking with me. He's known about me ahead of time, and he stated that let me find it. Okay, I'm reading obviously from here. At 19:56 hours, RCMP arrived at Stewart Park. You know what? I'll show you guys. Hold on. Okay, well, here you have it. So the Rath report, it says it was done on the 1st of the 30th. So the day after it was written, 7:52 reporting time, report date. So the next day, Steve Rath, 7340, security officer. And right off the top, it says incident type at 4:41 p.m. on the 29th. Suspicious activity. So this is during the Freedom Convoy. This is during this massive, beautiful, super happy rally in Kelowna. Protester taking a boat at City Hall. So I'm a protester taking a boat at City Hall. Both KSOC and supervisor were notified. That says like head office. And then here's this little report, guys. Let me find my spot. Well, maybe I'll just read it through with you guys. So February 29th, so it's wrong date. Was this written February 29th or was it written January 29th? Or is it, so it's probably just a missed date there. At approximately 16:41 hours, S.O. Rath was performing security work at Stewart Park for the city of Kelowna. On arrival, security noted that there were still several protesters from a rally earlier in the day. Well, I mean, the rally started at 11 and kind of ended at like 4 or 5. Probably around 5, I'm guessing. Earlier in the day, security began patrols and collecting banners and Canadian flags that were left laying around and placed them in the Stewart Park office. KSOC was notified at the time. At the same time, security noted several protester vehicles were returning. I mean, they never left. They were always there the whole time. Many, many vehicles and many, many people. There were a large amount of vehicles still driving down Water Street and were honking repeatedly. Security took down photographs of 3 vehicles that had again stationed on Water Street. These were sent to KSOC and RCMP were notified as an information-only file. They were not required to respond at the time. Of course not. 2 of the vehicles left on their own volition. Well, of course, I mean, they're leaving. Yeah. One of the vehicles was a light blue colored Chevy 3500 HD of license plate KW7192 with a camper in the bed of the truck that was parked on the corner of Water Street and Queensway Avenue. The truck did not have a front license plate attached and there was no plate visible in the rear. Security had to climb onto the pavement under the vehicle to read the plate. At the time, it was not clear if the RV was occupied. Security informed KSOC that the vehicle was present and informed KSOC that security would monitor for overnight camping. That's fine. Monitor for overnight camping, guys. What are you doing calling the police? So at approximately 19:21 hours, while on routine patrol, Rath noted the RV from earlier parked on Water Street in Queensway was still parked there. Yes, I was in there doing my editing in my mobile office and getting some food. Security informed KSOC that it was occupied and it appears as though they were going to stay for the night. Okay, so at 8 o'clock, it appears I'm going to stay the night? Or 7:21? It appears as so. So security informed KSOC and asked for bylaw services to attend. That would have been fine. Bylaw could have come and knocked on my door and I'll be like, yeah, I got a complaint that they're afraid you're going to camp here. That's fine. No, I'm not camping here. I'm actually going to be on my way after my food. Thank you very much. KSOC informed security that the RV had been parked there since 10 a.m. that day. Well, that's not true, actually. I wasn't parked at 10. It was 11. At 19:24 hours, KSOC informed security that RCMP had been notified. So why is the KSOC informing the RCMP for a parked vehicle at 7:30? At 19:56 hours, RCMP arrived at Stewart Park. KSOC was informed. Security met, so that's Officer Steve Rath, met with the officer and explained the RV was a known protester. I wonder if I can highlight that. No, I don't think so. So I'll put it at the top. Right at the top, guys. Second line there. The RV, I don't want to cut it off. The RV was a known protester. Known protester. What is that about, guys? That sounds like prejudice. Security wanted assistance relaying to the individual that he could not camp out front of City Hall overnight. RCMP informed security that the subject had a propensity to be verbally aggressive and belligerent with city staff, including bylaw, fire department, and the RCMP. There you go. That's Conrad ERBES. Conrad ERBES, RCMP, informed security that the subject had a propensity to be verbally assaultive and aggressive and belligerent with city staff, bylaw, fire department. So ERBES knew of my YouTube channel. He's a freaking subscriber practically, if not just looking it up. He knew of me the whole time. He knew who I was without my ID, obviously, and about my YouTube channel and how I documented the Freedom Convoy and how I documented bylaw when I had interaction with them and filming what? Fire department? You mean when they're like filming the fire department, like how I do the news? Because I'm filming, a accident of a vehicle, things that news does. Or filming the firemen actually talking to women outside downtown, just they're having some humor outside in front of the police station. I remember filming that as well. Is that what ERBES is talking about? And it's so crazy. The RCMP member walked over with security and began his investigation. The RCMP member began taking photos of the vehicle. The member then knocked on the back door and asked the subject to step out to the sidewalk and to bring identification with him. The member informed the subject that he had concerns about the state of the vehicle, no front license plate, rear plate not visible, and a large pole protruding off the back longer than 1.2 meters in my dirt bike carrier. The member, and it was less than 1.2 meters, by the way, guys. I never had the chance to reveal this, but those tickets were thrown out. It was less than 1.2 meters. It's actually 6 inches less, and that's measuring from the white bumper of the truck as per the rules, and is even less than that from the actual stairs. The member was informing him that there were Motor Vehicle Act violations and asked him to step out with his ID so they could clear things up. The subject refused. The subject closed and locked the back door to the camper and immediately came to the window and stated he would talk through the window. The subject was again informed why he was required to step out with his ID to the sidewalk. Again, this is the security writing this, right? The subject again refused. The subject was also informed that he overparked, and the subject stated he was allowed to park on the city streets for up to 48 hours. In Kelowna. So what I'm saying is you're allowed to park a vehicle like on your residential streets for 40 hours. You know, parking a vehicle doesn't mean I'm in it, but you're allowed to park a vehicle for 40 hours in the, you know, the residential areas of the city streets before having to move it, as long as it's insured. That's what I was referring to. And of course, downtown, I'm allowed to go to the bars. I'm allowed to go around downtown, enjoy downtown, and park. And you're allowed to park at nighttime to go to the nightclubs or anything. You know, this is what people do. At 20:09 hours, the RCMP advised him that he had 10 minutes to comply. Place the front plate on the vehicle or he would be towed under the Motor Vehicle Act of British Columbia. The subject stated he was not going to leave, he was not camping, and it was still daytime. The subject asked Jackson, so Jackson was the other security, while filming what the issue, I'm the subject, I asked Jackson what the issue was and what the RCMP member's problem is. When Jackson did not reply, the subject asked Rath for his name, and Rath obliged. He also asked if we were police as well. Rath informed the subject that he was with City of Kelowna security. Rath was asked what the problem was, and Rath advised him that security was only there to advise of the taking a boat on highway bylaw. Was it to advise on the taking a boat? Because, you know, it's not their problem. Again, Commissionaires only deal with the people on the sidewalk. They have nothing to do. So the fact that they're calling or telling their KSOC and then the KSOC is calling the police instead of bylaw, they should never even be talking about these vehicles. The only reason they're doing these calls is because the RV is a known protester, stated below or above. It's prejudice against my right to peaceful assembly, my right to association, and of course in me, the right to freedom of press. So taking a boat bylaw in effect 21 to 06 hours, which didn't apply at all and was thrown out by bylaw. Thank you very much. The RCMP member stated a 10-minute timer and showed the subject his phone. The tow truck was called. RCMP member then waited with his patrol car while Rath attended the Stewart Park ice rink for ice maintenance. SO Jackson stayed close to City Hall in case anything occurred while Rath was occupied with ice rink maintenance at Stewart Park. Jackson notified Rath that bylaw service arrived on scene as well and told the subject that if he was still occupying the camper portion of the vehicle after 2100 hours, he would be ticketed and towed under the city bylaw for taking a boat on a highway, which is another fraudulent, trying to screw with me. The misrepresentation of the actual offense. It's not to overnight a boat at all. The RCMP and bylaw gave him until 21 hours to move, and the RCMP member sat in his vehicle to begin writing Motor Vehicle Act violations. At 21:23, Mario's towing arrived and began the process of hooking up the vehicle. The subject still refused to exit the camper. The subject was on the phone with 911 demanding the watch commander attend to deal with the police. He called it, calling the police on the police. So, I mean, they're all watching the videos while we're there, guys. After the fact anyways, by Rath. He watched it, just after, when he wrote his report. Several bylaw members attempted to have a conversation with the subject, but he would not open his door, window, or anything. At 21:59 hours, Corporal Kent Hall, supervisor of the Kelowna RCMP, arrived. He was given detailed information of everything that occurred up to his arrival. Corporal Hall proceeded to have a conversation with the subject, who was now identified as Marcel Irnie. I never gave Corporal Hall my ID, by the way. All I ever said was my first name on the phone calls. Security bylaw and the RCMP member were asked to move back while Corporal Hall had a conversation with Marcel. See, that's my first name. Security was then informed by bylaw that there was a video. Security was then informed by bylaw that there was a video posted to YouTube by Marcel. Security continued to stand by and monitor the situation. More specifically, the issue arose of paying the tow truck operator. Corporal Hall then made a phone call to the watch commander and returned to the scene. At 2300 hours, the vehicle and Marcel were released from the scene, and security, bylaw, and RCMP stood down. Marcel Irnie left at 21:01 hours, which is from my video, by the way, and I explained the 21:03 hours. There's no way he would have known that. Or I guess if maybe Rath was still there in the background, hiding at a distance. And then there's a link in my video. So again, the police, they stood down. Bylaw and police stood down. The tow truck was ordered to remove. Constable ERBES stated in a synopsis that the tow truck was paid by the RCMP. Yes. And then of course they have pictures of my vehicle. And oh, look, there's my license plate. It's there. It's not obstructed. When you have carriers on the back, you don't move the license plate on the back of the carrier and move it back to the truck. It doesn't work that way. There's nothing about that happens like that. You know, people have like their wheelchair carts or the little box carriers on the back, or you're pulling a freaking trailer. You don't take your license plate off your truck and put it on the back of the trailer. So anyways, that's that report, guys. Now let's go look really quickly at what the conflict between what this says and what Constable ERBES stated in his synopsis 1. Okay, guys, here it is, front and center. So this is ERBES synopsis. Oh, this video is getting long. We're almost done this part. Synopsis 1 from author, whatever, ERBES Conrad, and this was written on March 1st, 2022. So the day after, or just after the January 29th. So, at 1922 hours, redacted, Commissioner. So that's Steve Rath of Commissioners reported a vehicle overstayed parking since 10:50 a.m. in front of City Hall, 1440 Water Street, BC. The correct plate was located by police upon arrival and noted to be KW7192, registered and occupied by Marcel Irnie. So that's how he gets my name, besides my YouTube channel that he was well aware of, who intermittently refused to speak with police and instead grabbed a camera and recorded via his cell phone and posted on YouTube. Police, commissionaires, and City of Kelowna bylaw attended an effort to persuade Irnie to simply leave. Yeah, step out of the vehicle, give me ID, and so you can do a false arrest on me and put your hands on me. I'm sure that would have been lovely. Explaining the municipal legislation. Instead, Irnie called more freedom pickups to circulate the area. They were already, yeah, I asked for anybody to come down and film for my safety. That's all I did. However, they did not approach the scene. Irnie was warned by bylaw if he did not leave, he could be towed, as he was in violation of bylaw for being abode by 21 hours. Well, no, I wasn't. That was fabricated. I was never at all being abode, overnight abode. The grace period was offered to allow Irnie to leave. Constable ERBES noted MVAR violations with the vehicle and explained those to Irnie in an effort to get him to leave. Irnie refused and continued reciting American-style legal jargon as reasons, then demanded that a fleet captain or watch commander attend the scene. Irnie screamed at police numerous times. Irnie would shut various windows of the camper and then go to another window and demand to be spoken to from that window. Hilarious. I was wanting to speak from my couch window, not the couch. And I'm like, I'm over here. And then he's like, I don't want to talk to you on the street side. And I'm like, okay. So I went back to the other window. So that's what actually happened. Irnie did repeatedly cause a disturbance multiple times by screaming, shouting, and attracting the attention of multiple pedestrian and motor vehicle passerbyers. The male was not arrested, as was inside the motorhome. So to make it clear, guys, by causing the police being the point of disturbance is not causing a disturbance as per the police code there. The police showing up and they are the disturbance and creating the shouting at that point is not causing a disturbance. And I can read you that in the section later. So let's continue on. The male was not arrested, as was inside the motorhome. He sure wanted to arrest me. The vehicle had been observed by CCTV monitored during the day prior to 11:37 a.m. and he had not left the parking stall since, as confirmed by the commissionaires. The commissionaires explained that the male had been causing disturbance throughout the day in relation to the freedom mandate protests. Commissioner witness Steve Rath, what was redacted, provided detailed security report. There you have it, guys. We just read the security report. Not once in there did it mention that I was causing a disturbance throughout the day in relation to the freedom mandate protests. It doesn't say anything about that whatsoever in that report that Steve Rath wrote on that next day. Okay? Bam. So ERBES is lying about that in direct to that report. The two reports do not line up. They do not line up at all. Let me finish. Irnie was served violation ticket that he accepted in hand of MVA 3001 and 420. No red flag, no front plate. Irnie was positively identified from his own live streaming on YouTube. Well, it's because ERBES is a subscriber, where Constable ERBES is observed, and Irnie does state his name and his location at Kelowna. Furthermore, the background of the video clearly depicts Kelowna City Hall and Water Street. Mario's towing attended and attached to the vehicle. However, Corporal Hall, in an effort to resolve the matter, had RCMP covered towing expense so that Irnie would leave. Photocopy of hard copy file. Irnie note, Irnie had several videos on YouTube where he attempts to goad bylaw and police into confrontations, which he records likely to profit from the video. Conclude. Well, I forgot to mention Fireman, which I filmed, but jeez, yeah. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about all this? How ridiculous. I mean, and then, there's the allegation where he crossed out, the top allegation, and then he had failed to display front plate, no red flag. And notice in the synopsis, he never mentioned that as well. Anyways, guys, so we'll get back to the allegations in a part 3. This is also a copy of his copy of the back of the ticket, 5678, where you have no front plate, extremely obstructed rear plate, camera, motorbike mount, bike mount, bracing necessary for no red flag, completely obstructed by plate, refused to identify self or provide JO, warned of same, demanding badge, and repeated temper tantrums on his video, identified by YouTube channel. Yeah, wonderful. And just to finish off where we were, Irnie, he said, you're parked here, you're unwelcome here, discriminated against me. And then we will continue on with this, guys, into the notice of application of affidavit under the material facts. We talk about the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We'll get into that at the beginning of the next video about my, essentially the Canadian Charter of Rights, which is Section 2C, the right to freedom of peaceful assembly, the right to freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of press and other media of communications under Section 2B, and the right to freedom of association under Section 2D. So anyways, guys, we'll continue on. This is 31 minutes. Hope you made it through it. What do you guys think about the SRAS detailed security report, which doesn't say about me causing a disturbance throughout the day at all, in relation to ERBES synopsis that he brought to court as his only disclosure, saying that I was causing a disturbance throughout the day in relation to the Freedom Mandate protest? And while he said on video several times that I'm attending a complaint, it's available for you, but he would never give it to me. Irnieracing News, guys. Cheers.